Welcome to Gay Like Me Conversations, where we discuss all things central to the Black LGBTQ community. Although some conversations intersect with the Black community as a whole. But either way, you're going to laugh, maybe even cry a bit, and you'll definitely learn and grow. It's time to start the show. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Why you acting brand new like you never did this before?
You're not going to make me get ugly on film. Good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressives, and dreamers. I'm Craig, the writer Stewart.
And I'm Derek J. And we are here with another episode of Gay Like Me Conversations about domestic violence in the LGBTQ community.
You forgot what we were talking about?
No, I know what we were talking about, but I was thinking, I was trying to figure out how to say it.
Well, just what it says on the flyer. In the LGBTQ community.
And abuse can go as a, I suffer my form of abuse from Craig on this show.
How do I abuse you?
Just now, you said you just tried to make me feel like I didn't know what I was doing, what was going on,
Oh, but you started by saying I'm acting brand new,
but you didn't know, like we were talking.
So that just goes to show that abuse can go both ways.
Okay.
And it's not just physical abuse, it's also verbal abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, this is one of those pretty serious topics. It happens in like 50% of LGBTQ relationships.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my intention for this particular conversation is to, I guess, bring clarity to what actually is physical abuse. Because I think oftentimes in the LGBTQ community, especially when you're talking about two men, oftentimes I think we discount
Mm-hmm.
a push, a slap, a punch
Mm-hmm.
to, we just kind of got into a little tussle because we're men.
Right.
And I know it happens with lesbians as well, and not probably in the trans community as well.
Mm-hmm.
But just speaking in terms of gay men,
Mm-hmm.
I just think that we sometimes discount it because we're men, and it's just like, he just punched me or I just punched him, but that still qualifies as physical abuse.
Mm-hmm. And I think for me, we always have our thoughts, what we feel I would have did, and I won't do this, I won't do that. Mm-hmm. But we never really experience what these people are experiencing,
right? And
we never really get to talk to them about it. And thankfully tonight we have both sides of the spectrum. We have the aggressor, and then we have the victim.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to hear about that. But for you, Craig, have you been in a domestic violence type situation?
I have been, not in a situation where, and I think there is a distinction.
Mm-hmm.
I've not been in a relationship where I was getting abused
mm-hmm.
or beat up, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in a relationship, in fact, two, where we got into a physical altercation.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think that, and I guess like when we were announcing this last week, I was saying that I don't really think that that's abuse, because when I think of domestic violence, I think of like a person being battered,
mm-hmm.
Always being on the receiving end of it. And this was just a situation where our tempers flared. Well, his temper flared,
mm-hmm.
and I defended.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It just became one of those things. And so it definitely was a marker for the end of the relationship
mm-hmm.
for me, because I don't get into all of that. Like that's just not healthy to
mm-hmm.
me.
Now, did you feel like it would have went further if you would have stayed in it, or do you feel like you just knew that it needed to stop then?
It definitely was something that I thought in one of the situations. Again, in the second situation, it wasn't even a relationship. It was somebody that I was dating and spending time with and that
mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And so it wasn't even something that I saw as a relationship and didn't even see it going in that direction. But it brought clarity to me mm-hmm. that I needed to end it, because mm-hmm. this wasn't even something that I wanted. And so mm-hmm. especially when we got to the point where it started getting physical, where we were pushing and punching and shit like that. I was like, oh no. Like we got into a physical fight in the car. Like we were on the highway coming down 75. And like I remember I went to turn the radio station. I went to turn it down. That's what it was. And he hit my hand and I punched. Like before I knew it, I hit him. And then next thing I know, I think he punched back. And before I knew it, I was turned to the side in the car and I was kicking him. Oh, yeah. And he was still driving. Like we're coming down 75, like on the highway.
So you didn't have no concern for either y'all safety at that moment.
Let me explain something to you. I'm from Baltimore. And what you're not going to do is put your hands on me. You know what I mean? So it just became one of those things where I realized in hindsight, like, oh my God, like, because we were swerving from lane to lane, like the car really could have turned over or whatever, you know, but that was the final straw for me. But yeah.
Okay, so we do have some guests down here that we're going to be talking to, and we're going to be bringing up and having this conversation. And I think we have 4 guests, so we'll see how long this goes.
Right.
But if we have time, we can bring. If someone in the comments feel that they want to come in and have the conversation, they are more than welcome. Also, so
right.
Let's bring some people up.
All right. So you want to bring them one at a time?
What? Thank you.
We'll start with Ian. What's up, Ian?
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Okay. Now, why did you want to be a part of this conversation?
So I've talked to Craig before about me being a perpetrator of domestic violence in the past. And I think it's really important to give some context on what goes through the perpetrator of domestic violence, their mindset. No matter how toxic it was, I think it's important to bring that into the conversation to understand the context of the mindset of someone who's the aggressor in the domestic violence. Okay,
so when you say, I just want to be very clear. So when you say you were the perpetrator of it, that means you were the one, the aggressor.
Yeah, I was initiating violence towards my partner. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then how long ago was that?
Yeah, so it's over a decade. Okay.
So are you that same person now?
No, and it's taken a lot of therapy. It's taken a lot of personal work. It's taken a lot of being single and working through my own insecurities, my own connection to like value and self-esteem and need to have control and all those things.
Okay, so let's go back a decade ago, and let's kind of talk through. Now that you're older, now you understand what you were doing and why you were doing it. What were some of your triggers that would take you to that space?
Yeah, so really it came from being with someone who I knew was too good for me at the time.
Hold on, we got to hold on that. That was really strong. That was really strong, and I only want to pause there because not only was that truth was so pure, but also have you ever, anybody watching or whatever, have you ever dated someone or talked to someone and they said, I just don't know if I'm on your level? I've learned that is the first sign that you need to go. Not that it has to turn into violence, but if a person meets you at the door and they're telling you that they're not enough or they don't think that they're enough, you may as well just pack your shit and leave, because if not, you're going to spend the entire relationship trying to pacify them, trying to affirm them and tell them and reassure them that they are in fact enough. And you don't want to have to do that. But go ahead.
Yeah, that all of that is completely correct. I was in a situation, this person was too good for me and I knew it, but it was a chance to be with someone who really, he was the one that got away. I'm thankful that he got away, but he still, even 12 years later, he's still the one that got away. And I just remember thinking that if I let him leave, if I let him realize that he is too good for me, if I let him realize that I don't value myself, if I let him realize that I am not the confidence that he externally sees, then I will lose the person that I want to be with. And so I tried to create multiple ways of controlling this individual such that he could not recognize what was the reality. And we lived in a false sense of reality until he got away.
Now, would you say today that he still isn't, or that you're still not good enough for him? Would you say that today?
No, but I would also lean into this thought and in complete honesty. If he would not have left me, I would not be good for him today.
Gotcha.
He had to go.
Oh, wow.
He had to go. If he did not leave me, I wouldn't be who I've become. I would have been stuck in this semblance of a false reality, because that would have been our truth. That would have been our truth. And he would have been comfortable and I would have been comfortable.
So did you witness any domestic violence, or was it purely growing up, or was it purely, like you said, a lack of self-esteem at the time or insecurities at the time?
That's how I'm from a small town here in Texas, and that's how relationships communicated. That they were communicated through fighting, they were communicated through violence. But I really feel like a big part of what it was my mother, who was a single mother who did everything she could, who also had some drug addiction issues. She did not know how to love. And so in turn, I was searching for that love, but loving exactly how she loved me. And so that really was the issue, more so than I think seeing domestic violence happen so often.
Okay, so now I know that you have let us know that you were the aggressor, but I think that we gotta just be more clear about what part of that you played. And what we're saying, and what are the forms of domestic violence that you use to try to control him in that relationship? Was it physical? Was it mental? Was it verbal? Like what was it? I mean, if you don't mind going back to there.
Yeah. I've done a lot of therapy, so I can talk about this really freely.
Okay.
So it started as like mental and emotional. So in full transparency, I mean, I'm here to talk about it. I think it's an important topic, so I'm just going to be completely honest. During that time, he did not know I was doing sex work. And so I was already in the middle of putting him in immediate danger in multiple different ways, because I was doing sex work while being in a relationship with him. And so with all of those other things, what I would do is I would tease him with sex emotionally, but not give him sex because I didn't, quote unquote, want to put him in danger. And the more he allowed me to do, the more I did. And so it ended up being very physical, very physical. I'm not proud of it, but it is true. It is a part of my story and a part of my narrative. It was very, very physical. Trying not to, now really understanding the intensity of it. It's a bit emotional to think that you could say you really cared about somebody and put them in that kind of predicament. But it was very, very physical.
So when you say you were doing sex work, can you kind of go into that and explain, what do you mean when you say you had already were putting him in danger by doing sex work?
Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough to not contract any STIs that are not able to be cured. I was getting like syphilis and gonorrhea. And so when I would get those kind of STIs, instead of telling him, well, we need to go get tested, or, we need to go get treated, I would just stop having sex with him. And I would make it about him. And, right now I'm just not turned on by you. And it was very psychological and toxic and nasty and ugly. But I think, and I'm open to any questions you all have, but I want to just put this out for anybody that might be in that particular situation. From my lens, the fact that he accepted that is it's not an excuse for the physical violence. But it did to the physical violence.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. So how long into the relationship did it become physical? So I would say that was probably the mental part of it right there, where you were saying, well, I'm not attracted to you, we're not going to have sex, da, 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 because you were doing your thing on the side. But how long into the relationship was it before you became physical?
Mm-hmm.
So we had been together probably about 2.5 years, and he was starting to figure out. I'm sorry, I'm talking with my hands a lot, which means that I'm.
No, you're fine.
But we were together about 2.5 years or so, and he was starting to recognize that I, wasn't the person that he thought. And I remember the night he went out on a date with somebody. I had been cheating all week, but he had went out on a date with somebody. And I only knew that because he was not answering the phone. He always answered the phone for me. And I called him. I was calling him back to back. He was not answering the phone. And then about 2:30 in the morning, he actually answered the phone and said he had went to hang out with one of his friends. And I was like, okay, I was pissed in my head, but going back into the psychological and emotional abuse, I told him, oh, I'm not feeling very well. I've been calling you all night. I'm sick. You need to come see me, blah, 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 blah. So him loving me came to my place, and I intentionally picked at him. Like I was texting boys while he was there, laying in the bed and letting him see it just so he could get really, really upset. And he ended up saying he was leaving. And I said, no, you're not. We're going to talk this out. Why was you with somebody? Blah, 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 blah. Just picking a fight for no reason. And he was terrified of knives, and I chased him around with a knife just to antagonize him. Not to actually cut him, but he was terrified. So he knocked the knife out of my hand and start trying to defend himself. And that was my reason for going in, because in my head I didn't want to touch him unless he touched me. And that was my reason for going in. We ended up having to call the paramedics. And I remember them coming out because he was a person that had seizures, and he got so excited and a lot of anxiety. He passed out and had a seizure. So I was terrified, and I called my roommate. I'm like, oh my gosh, what I do? He said, you got to call the paramedics. He's out. And the fire department came, and I never forget, he came too shortly after the paramedics came, and he was laying in the restroom with blood coming out his nose. And I never forget, they said, was this a domestic violence situation? Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and he looked at them and he said, no. And they said, are you sure? And he said, no. And they said, well, if anything comes up for you, if you ever want to talk to us, please let us know. And he said, no, I just have seizures. And they made sure it was good. They asked him, did he feel comfortable staying with me? He said, yeah, I feel comfortable staying with you. And the fire department left, and he did not feel comfortable staying with me, obviously. So he waited 30, 45 minutes, got himself together. I begged him to stay because I was nervous, but he drove home. The bad part was that's not when we ended. But that was the worst of the physical violence.
So did you hit him? You hit him at his nose? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a fight. It was a fight. And he was honestly just trying to defend himself.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Have you talked to him? Are y'all friends? Or, I mean, do y'all talk now? Have y'all worked through this? Okay.
No. It's still something that's, even in therapy, it's still something that I have accepted and I have acknowledged that, because it didn't end there. There was no more physical abuse there, but it was a lot more psychological abuse. And even after we broke up, I was an antagonizer to get his then boyfriend, unfortunately, to fight him in front of me. So he's been unfortunately abused, but now I think it's really for the best. I have not seen this guy, I don't know, in 6 or 7 years. A piece of the selfish part of me, the human part of me, that's not therapized, if you would, wants to apologize, but honestly, as much as I've talked about the situation and as public as I've been around like domestic violence awareness and prevention, I'm sure he's heard the message. And I guess that's enough, and it's going to have to be good enough because honestly, I don't think that we would ever speak again on his part.
So you said that with the boyfriend that he had after you, you incited a fight between them?
Yeah. We saw each other again, and he was going through a tough time in his relationship. He came up to my job. We were just like homies and whatever. Fast forward, they were separated. They were staying in different places. And I ended up going to his house, and we ended up just kind of like playing around sexually, obviously. And I saw him and his guy at the club shortly thereafter. And I remember being like so infuriated, mainly because his guy was great. But in my eyes, in terms of the look and the aesthetic and all that kind of stuff. So I remember seeing them out and thinking like, "Urgh." And I hadn't worked through my stuff at that time. And so I saw them out, and the guy was like mean mugging me because obviously he knew I was his ex. And so that week, my ex called me and was like, "Hey, if this guy calls you, don't answer or say that your name is LaRon. My middle name is LaRon. Say that your middle name is LaRon. Don't say your name is Ian," so on and so forth. And so the guy called me and I didn't answer. So we saw each other a couple weeks later, and I was like, "Why are you always mugging me, dude? Like, you're always mugging me." And he was like, "Because you still trying to get with my man. You still trying to, I got with your man." You know, just being a punk. "I got with your man. I got with your man." And he was like, What you mean? What you mean?" I said, I'm LaRon. And he just turns around and starts beating on him at the club. And I just remember like, this dude needs to get away from you, Ian. You're toxic. You're disgusting.
Yeah. So after that relationship was done, had you participated in any other relationships where you were violent or where there was violence?
No, I honestly, I haven't been in really any serious relationships. I think I'm just ready, 12 years later, just ready to really participate. When something contentious happens, it has affected me in a very negative way, I think. And rightfully so, because I was toxic and I had a lot of work to do to work through. But when things get too contentious, I just walk away. And I have for years. I was in a 4-year relationship a little while back, and it wasn't really a relationship because anytime we had a problem, because I didn't trust myself enough, I trust myself a lot more now. But this was 5 years ago. Anytime things got contentious, I walk away, and then 2 months later we talk and we get back together. And he would always wonder, like, "Why are you running? Why are you running?" And it's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to talk through this. I don't know how to have a conversation without having a confrontation.
It's so interesting that you say that, because basically you were saying that you didn't have conflict resolution skills. And that was one of the things that I ran into a lot when I was dating. Like, I just felt like, and it didn't necessarily erupt or evolve into anything physical, but I just felt like that's one of the problems that at least gay men have. I can't speak for lesbians or trans people, but in terms of dating other gay men, oftentimes we don't know how to move through the smallest conflict to the largest conflict. And we're so quick to run from something so minute. So I would say definitely, that self-reflection is important, so that we can have those conflict resolution skills, those tools.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to add the fact that we just don't believe that domestic violence is a thing in the gay community. It's like, oh, we two dudes and we fight, and that's just what dudes do. We just fight.
Exactly.
That's not how it has to be. That's not
exactly. Yeah, and that was what I was saying earlier. I think oftentimes we discount like a physical punch, a push, and all that stuff is,
Mhm.
that's not domestic violence. That's just what we do because we're all men and, whatever. But it definitely is an issue in the community. Ian, we're going to drop you down so we can bring on somebody else, and we'll bring you back for a closeout.
Okay.
Thank you, Ian.
All right, we're going to go over here to Phoenix.
Hey Phoenix,
boy,
how are
hey.
you?
Hey, boy, hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm not even shocked. I'm in chick. That was deep. That was a lot. That was a lot. So my particular story, I've always known, like, before I got with my now boyfriend, we've been together almost 8 years. And before him, I've always had a track record where I would keep a dude for 1 year and I would drop him like a toy and get another one. But with him, I would say about 6-7 months into our relationship, we got into a very heated argument one night. And I'm not a fighter. I fight with words. So it's like I can cut you with my words and make you feel something instead of my fists. But with him, he's physical. And it got to the point where he literally slammed me on the bed. His hands are around my neck. I'm screaming for dear life. His roommate is trying to bust through the door to come get him off of me. He's on the phone with his other friend. His friend is screaming on the phone, get off of him, get off of him. You're going to hurt this boy. And we were just physically yelling at each other and just going back, just a big old screaming match. You would think something was really going on if you heard it from the outside. And when he did finally get off of me, I run to the kitchen and just like Ian, I find the biggest knife I could find. And I'm like brandishing at him, swinging at him. And I'm like behind the counter and I'm telling him, yelling him, cussing him out, saying, if you come near me, I'm going to cut you. I'm going to stab you. I'm going to do whatever I need to do. And I don't even remember how, we got past it, but we did get past it. And then fast forward 3-4 years later, we got into another altercation. And the same thing again. We had an argument. We don't remember what it was. We just had a big argument. And I get up in his face and I'm just saying, you're not going to do shit. You ain't going to do nothing. What the fuck you going to do? And slams me on the ground, chokes me out again. And when he finally gets off of me, I go to the kitchen, grab a glass this time. I throw it at the ground just to get him away from me. And it was just like, at that point, I just had to get out. But luckily, he and I have worked through our issues to the point where if we get into an argument, we stop.
Oh, wait, y'all still together?
Yeah, they've been together for 8 years. Yeah.
We've been together almost 8 years.
Okay, we jumped into it so fast, we didn't get to really
it was quick. It was a lot because I can say it only happened twice, but my thing is we were able to work through it, and
so okay. Before we work it through, once again, it's hard for me to understand all this stuff because I've never been in a relationship. I haven't loved someone. So, but just my logical thinking of this is I don't, for me, just because even though you work through it, there's still that possibility of your crass mouth and then his anger. So does the love you feel for the person outweigh the possibility of something else happening?
I can answer that. The answer is no.
Well, obviously it is.
I want to hear. But before you answer that, because to Derek's point, the first incident you said happened within 6 months of you dating, right? Or 8 months or something. And then the second incident was like 6 years later.
Yeah. Well, that's what. But my thing is if 6 months, 8 months into a relationship, and we have that type of thing, I don't know you. I don't think I love you that much.
I don't think I'm staying. Right. If it happens so early on, like that.
So my first question, it's multiple questions. So my first question, with that happening that early in a relationship, what were you going through to make you want to stay?
That allowed you to stay.
If you could think back to then.
For me, it was a lot of deep personal issues. And I was brand new to a new city. I had just moved from LA to Vegas with my mother. And He and I, our relationship happened so fast. You know, we got together so fast. You know, we moved in with each other. Well, he moved me in so quick because of a personal issue I had going on with my mom and our living situation. And then on top of that, me never really, you know, I can say having a steady relationship, you know, and really having someone that is there for me, that is really giving me, you know, I guess the love and attention and the affection that I want, that I seek.
Mm-hmm.
And begin me at 2 years old. So at the
Well, I'm
Can you guys still see me?
Okay, now we're back now. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
So you said the love and affection that you were looking for, and then what did you say after that?
So at the time I was 24, because now I'm 32. At the time I was like 24, 23. And I can say back then I was young, I was fast, you know, I just didn't give a damn, you know. And I can't really remember what made me stay, but I can say I'm glad I did now.
Really?
Because, well, yeah, because he and I, we've come a long way to the point where the thing that made it better for us was us not living together. Because when we were living together, we were up under each other all the time. So it's like, you know, it gets tedious. You start to get almost like that cabin fever because you see each other almost every day, all day. And it's like two personalities. One's myself, a loud personality. Him is more laid back. You know, they'll clash. They'll clash. And with the second incident, I'm trying to think what sparked it. I can't remember what sparked it, but like you said, my mouth. I have a very sassy mouth. I'm very slick with my words. And a lot of times I'll say things without speaking and I don't even think about the repercussions. Like if I hurt your feelings, it'll take me a few days to realize I hurt your feelings. I wouldn't give a damn. But with he and I working through these issues and we talk, we've had many talks where we sit down and we really talk about, okay, how can we repair this? How can we move forward? How can we fix it? And I always tell him, well, if you are willing to do this and put in the work, okay, because I'm the type where I will sit back and observe. I sit back and observe and let me see if you're going to do what you say you're going to do. Because I can do what I can say. I can do what I was going to say. But if you can't do that, then yeah, I'm going to leave. And I can honestly say he's never, you know, slapped me or punched me or anything. No physical bruises, you know, other than him damn near choking me out.
Wait. Now
See, that goes back to what
now we can't now.
Yeah, you're minimizing.
Yeah, you can't minimize what it was
because there was no bruise, that it wasn't really abuse.
Yeah, so we can't minimize it.
Right. But let me just say this before you respond to that. You said something a moment ago. You said you're not really sure where you were or why you stayed when it happened that first 6 months. Just a person looking from the outside. My answer would be because you were in a place of financial codependency or even emotional codependency, because you said you had just moved to Vegas. It was some situation going on at your mom's house or whatever was going on there. So that was those two things were a draw. And then what I would say to you is, I have said this for so very, very, very long. My personal belief is that you should move in with your partner when the relationship is ready to graduate to that point, not out of convenience or circumstance. And when I say convenience and circumstance, I mean because you had an issue with going on at your mom's house. Because if I was him, I would have told you, you need to find a friend or find someplace else that you can stay, because you can't stay here. I was dating a guy. This is over a decade, 2 decades ago. I don't even know how long ago it was. But the point is, he was in a situation and he needed a place to stay. And we were only just a few months in. I said, well, where are you going to stay? Because he couldn't come live with me. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that sometimes we move in together out of circumstance. A person lost their job or whatever. And it has to be because the relationship is ready to graduate, not because of a circumstance.
So a question for you, Phoenix. So now y'all work through it. Y'all still together. Does that fear sit in the back of your head that something may happen again, or are you in a space where you like, we're good? I know that if I have my mouth gets slick today, I won't have an issue. Are you, or do you still have the fear that something may happen?
50-50. You know, it's 50-50. I'd be a fool to say, you know, I don't have that fear. You know, I'd be a fool. But
Have
I
you guys
know
gone to counseling? Have you ever gone to counseling?
we haven't gone to counseling. I have a friend that has brought up to me that she is, you know, like a counselor or a life coach that does work with, you know, single people and relationships. And so I have thought about bringing it up to him because we, you know, just may need it because it may help sometimes. You never know. You know, counseling does tend to help, you know, couples at times, you know, because you need that third person or that mediator to, like you said, Craig, the outside looking in to really help you assess what is the deep root of the issue. But I can say we have grown from it. He and I, you know, we don't live together. You know, we haven't lived together for about 2-3 years. And when that first happened, when I had my own place with my roommate and he has, you know, his spot with his roommate, it worked out so much better for us because I can go see him when I don't feel like being at home and vice versa, you know, and we still have, you know, our discussions, we still have our talks, you know, because when we feel like it's, or if one of us is feel like it's going in that direction, like, okay, this is about to get real nasty. Let's stop and think. Let's stop and talk about this first before it gets to that physical point. And neither one of us wants us to get to that physical point because I don't know. It's weird. I'm a Sag. He's a Capricorn. So it's like, I'm very fiery. I'm very loud. I talk with my hands, you know, I do all kind of ghetto shit. When I get angry, it's like, I just see red. He's the point where you poking the bear, eventually the bear is about to lash out at you. So it's like,
well, that's probably why you need, but that's probably why you need counseling, because it sounds like neither one of you have the tools.
Yeah. And once again, I can only speak for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. But that just seems just very toxic to me. Like, that's just not, like, you know, I mean, I'm sure you have a good time together. I'm sure that y'all probably have, but I just don't know. I should be able to speak to you and disagree with you without the fear of whatever. And like, for you need to learn how to watch your mouth, you know, because we do know because you know what the triggers are and you poke at the triggers. And then he has to learn how to, you know, manage his triggers. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day.
Keep his damn hands to himself.
Right.
But before you say anything else, because we got to move to somebody else, I want to say this too, because Felicia in the comments, she brought up a good point a while ago. She said abuse is cumulative. So like that first time you experienced it, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a push, a slap, or whatever. That was 6 months in. Then 6 years later, it evolved and it became bigger. You know what I'm saying? It usually starts to grow and compound, because a person doesn't usually start off by hitting you in your head with an iron. Right. They try to test the water first to see.
And I think that we're talking about, and in your case, from just listening to the story, y'all both are aggressors because you use mental abuse and he just used physical abuse. You know, and it probably was smaller things that happened that you may not even realize were microaggressions that led to.
Come on, microaggressions, sweetie.
You just because you don't know what the Hampton girl, you take that. We can all talk, sweetie. So we, you know, but well, I will say this for you, Phoenix. I mean, just listen to you and the people, even looking at the comments. I like I said, I can't speak for feelings and what y'all and the years y'all been in together, but y'all somebody putting out a life coach is not a licensed therapist. So you need to go to a therapist that understands how to get deep into what y'all got going on. If this is something that y'all want to stay within, you know, because I just don't think that, because I don't think that you guys learn. I think that you know his triggers, he knows your triggers, but y'all don't know each other's triggers. Like you don't know your own personal triggers. Right. Like you know how to get him, he know how to get you, but you don't know what triggers you. He don't know what triggers him.
And you definitely don't know how to control yourself.
You don't know how to control yourselves. So I mean, and I don't want to say that I fear for you because I mean, obviously you feel safe, but I do fear for the fact that something may happen. So I really would say y'all need to really, if this is a relationship you want to be in, then yes, y'all need to go talk to somebody about this.
I totally agree. And like I said, we both have grown. I know I have personally, because whenever I feel myself getting to that point, I would always stop and I would breathe and I would just say, you know what? I'm gonna step back, I'm gonna walk away right now. And I just leave it at that. And I move and I walk away, you know. And there have been times where when we argue, you know, we both, of course, when any two people argue, they try to overtalk each other. You know, they get loud. And I've gotten to the point where I know when to just, okay, stop, walk away, and just keep on walking. He'll still keep talking, trying to tell me to come back. But I know I got to walk away because I need to go calm down. I need to breathe for a while. Give me like a day or two, sometimes even a week before I can talk to you again, you know. But we've definitely talked about it before, possibly going to see counseling or therapy, because our relationship isn't really so much toxic, because the people that have been around us and know us, they know how we are and we interact with each other very well. It's just more so I'm more affectionate than he is. And when I don't get my way, I tend to lash out a little bit, but I've learned to really just speak with my words, calm down, you know, that type of thing.
Phoenix, we're gonna drop you down. Because I think I saw you look at me, Craig. I'm gonna say this, and we're gonna drop you down. We're gonna bring you back up here for the roundabout. But what I think is that when we hear the word toxic, we think toxic as it's all this,
and it's every day.
And it's every day.
It doesn't have to be every day.
You know, so I'm saying like it is. And the thing is, and even what you said about you walking away or he walks away, y'all never fix the problem. Y'all just walked away from each other and ain't talk about it no more. And then when y'all felt happy to get back together, so the issue that y'all had is still there. Yeah. So,
but we walk away, and when we do come back together, we do discuss it and we do talk about it.
So what we're gonna do, see, we're gonna drop you down, and we're gonna bring you back up for the roundabout, okay, Phoenix? Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to make one more comment, but I'm gonna bring him down because you know he'll talk for another 10 minutes.
Oh, you will too. Shut up, Craig. Don't you try it. Like you're not sure when the cousin Ben.
Did y'all catch that cousin Ben? Cousin Ben probably watching. But you know, what's interesting is I wanted to know what makes him and his partner so angry that they want to put their hands on the other person.
Well, when he comes back up at the end for roundabout, just keep holding. Remember that question, Phoenix.
Right, remember that.
Okay, so we're gonna go to.
Are we gonna bring up Stormy?
Hey, Stormy. What? Okay.
Hello. Can y'all see me?
Stormy.
Well, you frozen. Well, it's frozen right now.
Can y'all see me?
We're gonna drop you back down, man. Okay, we can.
Stormy,
okay, we'll drop Stormy back down, child.
Really?
Oh, okay. There you. We just came back. Let's see. There we go. Let's see.
Can you hear us?
Okay, drop Stormy back on down.
Right.
Okay, work on that, Stormy. We'll get right back to you.
All right. So we have Travis.
Good evening, y'all. Y'all doing all right?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. Well, basically, I want to go ahead.
I'm about to ask you, what made you want to be part of this conversation?
Well, I was actually the aggressor. There's only actually been one or two instances where I was pretty much involved in a domestic dispute with
you said
my
one or
ex.
two.
Yeah.
Is it one or two? What I mean, was it one or two?
I would say offhand it's two.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So what role did you play in this?
I was actually the aggressor. I 5'7" at the time, maybe under 200 pounds. He was 6'1", over 300 pounds. So my situation was we were probably in our relationship for maybe about 4 or 5 years, and I noticed that he had a attraction to younger guys. Of course, he's older than me. And he had befriended some guys from his church, and I guess he was I guess trying to play that big brother role, if you will. So I felt as though at some point it had gotten into a situation to where it was becoming sexual. So I questioned him about it, and I kind of already had this idea in my mind. But I'm just the type of person that I put trust in him well enough that if I asked if there was anything that I needed to know, he would be honest enough with me and give me the truth. But of course, wasn't the case. So in this situation, he and I are actually sitting in his car, and I asked him, and I was like, was there anything, sexual going on with you and this other guy? And so he was like, no. And I was like, now, are you serious? He was like, well, yeah. And so I guess that wasn't enough for him because he really didn't want to tell me the truth. So at that point, when he just decided to just shut me up, he was like, oh, yeah, well, we do have something going on. So something within me fueled. And what happened was I hit him in the face. Now, mind you, I'm short, kind of petite at that time. He's tall and big, of course. So as I'm hitting him in his face, he proceeds to get out of the car. And when he grabbed me, he grabbed my arms and slung me from the passenger side to the driver's side and out of the car and onto the ground. And so he kicked me once and he walked away. So what I do, because I'm infuriated, I run after him. And so I'm hitting him until we actually get in the house. So after that situation, we, tried to talk about it. And there was another incident where pretty much his mom and his brother ended up having to break us up inside of the house. And I kind of honestly, I felt stupid at that time because I was like, here I am, I'm in a relationship and, I'm trying to make things work. And I just feel like for me, infidelity, that's a no for me, to be honest. And I think it just triggered me that, I'm trying to be this right partner for you. I'm trying to do the right thing. And I'm putting my trust in you to tell me the truth. And I really that because of what you went through and what you were presently going through.
So, wait, what? So how long ago did this happen?
This was maybe 2011, 2012.
And now, are y'all still together?
No. Cordial, okay. But no. I'm single.
Okay, so y'all do talk to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, we keep in touch.
So these two incidents happened. So how long after the second incident did you
did the relationship
end? Yeah.
Maybe about 4 to 5 years. Yeah. It's a long story, but yeah.
Okay. So okay.
What's on your mind, Craig?
I mean, it's not judgment at all because I'm very, very clear.
Well, he was the abuser.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about the partner. Why would the partner stay with you? It's not judgment because I'm very clear that we're all one bad decision away from making the same bad decision that somebody else made. So it's not judgment. I'm just baffled. I guess I'm kind of unclear. Well, I'm aware that people stay in relationships that are toxic or that are dysfunctional because sometimes dysfunction is their only normal. And then I'm aware that there are some people that are so afraid of leaving a bad situation because they're more afraid of being single. And I don't know.
So for you, what triggered? Well, first of all, have you been in a relationship since that relationship?
No, I've only actually been in one relationship, and I'm
Which was
34.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that was that
only one.
relationship. Okay.
Mhm.
So
Now,
have
mind
you?
you, I was actually 20 when this started, and I really didn't leave until I was 30. So, yeah.
So do you think that you've done the work on yourself that Ian did on himself, the work that Ian talked about doing?
Yeah, I did. Now during that time, I really didn't think that I needed therapy, but I've actually been in therapy for a little over a year now, and so it's
So
helping.
within therapy, did you figure out what your triggers were to take you to that place?
Well, honestly, I'm not a violent person. That was just an isolated
Well, I can't
situation.
tell.
So,
That's how's that? What is wrong with you people? Y'all love making excuses for yourselves over here. You
and you know
obviously
what?
were
Thank you
a
for
violent
correcting me,
person.
because in that moment in my life, I figured that it was an excuse. But I'm 34 now, so
Right.
I mean,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, you know, something. You may not be violent now, but you was violent then.
I just felt like I just needed to protect myself, and of course,
You hit him. You hit him
well,
first. You hit him. He didn't hit you.
You hit him first. What you mean you needed to protect yourself?
I mean, hey, it may not sound right, but it is what
That
it
is
is.
not right.
Did we miss something? You hit him. He said, I need to protect myself.
And I think a part of that was, and I'll just give you some background on me. I think I've always been, well, not always, but back then I was more of a passive person. So that's why, I had been dealing with so much and suppressing so much. At that point, I just felt like, oh, okay, you disrespected me, so you're gonna feel my wrath at this point. So somebody said call a therapist first thing in the morning. He's actually
They said call the therapist tomorrow.
So do you feel like you're at a point in your life now where you can be in a relationship?
I'm not sure. I'm still doing some self work, so it's possible if I want it, but I'm working on me at this point. So.
And what does that look like when you say I'm working on me? What does that mean? Because I think people say that all the time.
But as I say, what does the work?
What does that look like? And let me say this before you answer, because a lot of times people will say, I'm working on me, and I pamper myself. I go get my hair cut. I get my nails done. I go buy myself something. I take myself out to eat. To me, that's not really doing that inner work.
Mm-hmm.
That's just pampering yourself. That's just, So what does that look like for you?
Really knowing who's for me and who's against me, knowing the people who genuinely love me and who really want the best for me. I would say that. Being able to identify that.
Okay. So Travis, we're gonna drop you down. We got one more person to bring back up. We'll bring you back up right from the roundabout.
All right.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna use that next time I slap somebody, but I had to defend myself. He's like, well, child, you slapped me. I didn't slap you. What are you doing?
But that was very white woman.
Right.
That was very white woman. I had to defend myself.
Okay, Stormy, let's try this again.
Can y'all see me now? Can y'all see me?
We can see you now.
Yes.
And we can hear you.
That inner neck is working.
Right.
So how are you, Stormy? So why'd you want to be part of this conversation?
Yeah, see, recently I went through a breakup, unfortunately, and I need some advice. So I'm here to present my case to you guys.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We're listening.
Okay, so me and this guy met in 2017. I can't say his name because I don't know if he's gonna be watching. So we met in 2017, and he was a college student, and I worked in urgent care.
But wait.
Everything was going.
Wait, Travis. Well, hold on, Stormy.
Hold on. Let me help you.
It's okay. We're right here.
I already know what Derek is gonna say. Derek's gonna give us the Cliff's notes.
No, not even that. Not the Cliff's notes. I need to understand. Okay, but first of all, how old are you?
Okay, I'm just gonna be honest and say it. It's an 8 years difference
hold on.
between.
Oh, Stormy, hold on.
What's going on? Hold on, our monitor went out.
Okay.
Give us 1 second. We coming.
Okay, Stormy.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, we're here. Okay, so wait, how old are you?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest and say it's an 8 year difference.
You should have answered my question though.
That means, bitch, I'm not telling you how old I am.
Okay, 29, 22. So you met in 2017.
Yes. So I'm gonna be honest and say it. I'm not a Kruger. I'm a Coyote.
Well, no, this sounds real cougarish to me, but go ahead now. We'll go.
It's a Coyote because I'm a guy.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
okay.
All right, well, go ahead.
Okay,
So let me ask you this before you tell us the story. Was there abuse in this relationship?
Yes, it was. Unfortunately.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So
22.
everything was good for the first year of us meeting. But once it was time for us to move into an apartment together, things took a ride when I told him that I was going to Florida to open a new clinic. So he boo-hoo cried. We wrestled on the bed. We tussled. He tried to dislocate my arm. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Listen to you.
Okay, so he tried to dislocate my arm, and so I took him to work. He cried to his mom and told his mom that I was leaving him for some other guy in Florida. So his mom was texting me saying, "What's going on? What's going on?" I said, "Nothing. I told your son I was going to Florida, and he tried to dislocate my arm." So she called. So she came up here saying, I thought you put this grown man put his hands on my son, so I was gonna call his cousins up here to beat your ass." So our relationship changed since then because the conversation, whatever he told his mom is under the belief of it's still touchy for me. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it's still touchy for me. So his mom believes that I was this cheater, that I was this abuser, that I was this old man trying to manipulate her son to be in a relationship with me. So while I was in Florida, he met this new guy, and they start messing around. I didn't know this. I found out in November. So when we got to November of 2018, we got into a little confrontation, and the confrontation was about, why are you being so distant towards me? Why you blowing me off? Why you don't want to interact? Why you don't want to go here with me? Why you don't want to go there? Why we can't go on dates? So he was very standoffish towards me. So what he did was, Stormy, I don't got time to argue right now. I said, I'm not arguing. I'm just asking you. I'm expressing my concern. To the point that he stopped playing the video game to come into the bathroom and start pushing me, saying, "Dog, I don't got time for you right now. I don't got time for you right now." So he kept pushing me. So I said, if you push me one more time, it's going to go down the path that you don't want it to go down. So unfortunately, it went down the path that it shouldn't have went down. This is the first time I'm talking about publicly, and I do apologize to you, Derek, for this incident.
Why you apologize to me?
No, not to my ex, Derek.
Oh, I'm about to say, I'm like, I didn't do that. Okay, go ahead.
I do apologize to Derek for this incident. So I came out the bathroom with an eyebrow archer, and because I was in there trying to do my eyebrows. And so what I said, if you push me again, it's gonna go down a different path. So he pushed me, so I pushed him back, but I forgot that I had the eyebrow archer on me, and I bust him open like a can of biscuits, unfortunately. I split his chest open.
Y'all not together no more. Are y'all?
Unfortunately, no. No, because
unfortunately,
it's because of the cheating that
went
down the path went down. Because the age difference between. Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, let me ask a question. So you said 2018. Is that 2018 when you guys got together?
No, 2017 is when we got together. 2018 is when we moved into an apartment.
Okay, so 2017 was when the relationship started. And when did it actually come to an end?
This year.
This year. And so he's now 22 now, or was he 22 when you got together?
22 now.
He's 22 now. And you said you're 7 years older.
7 to 8 years older, yes.
So is this the
month.
Right? So is this the only incident where it's become physical, where it's gotten physical?
No.
Well, here's what I was.
Every time it became physical is because I confronted him about something I seen in his phone. He was out.
So my
question.
question. So here's my question to you: how many more incidents do you need to see in this phone before you pull yourself together and say, "This is not it"?
I tried that month in November. I said we need to take a break from each other because they went too far. Because it happened Black Friday 2018. I said we need to take a break from each other. That's not saying we're not together. But
no, not a break. Not a break, an end. My question to you is, you've seen his phone. He's been talking to other people. He's been dating other people. You were down in Florida setting up the urgent care. He's been on dates. His mom has called you. And at what point do you say, I've had enough, I deserve better, and this isn't working, and then you just cut your losses and go?
I should have said it then. Unfortunately, I should have said it then, but we signed a new lease. We was 2 months into that lease before everything arrived. We was 2 months. So we had to finish out the lease. So what was after that incident, me cutting them open, things got better. Unfortunately, things got better. And we was working towards something because I seen the better in him. He seen the better in me. So
let me say this to you. Hold on. Take a breath.
It's still fresh. That's why I'm trying my best not to cry.
I know. Here's the thing. What good is your hope when his hope is to be who he is? Sometimes you can see the better in another person. Like you're dreaming a bigger dream for him than he's dreaming for himself. And what I will tell you is whatever you're looking for is also looking for you. So if you believe that you can have a monogamous relationship that's committed, that's long-term, there's somebody else out there looking for that same thing. They're looking for you. So you're trying to
But I open up the door.
Hold on. Just take it in. You're trying to force your relationship style on him. He may be a person that doesn't believe in monogamy. You obviously you're a one guy kind of guy. So you have to be with someone who also believes in that. Stop trying to play this tug of war with him, because when you have two different relationship styles, you're pulling in this direction, he's pulling in that direction, because you have two different visions for the relationship.
But the last thing I'm going to say, and then you just go ahead and say what you want to say. At 22 years old, I'm not sure he possesses the relationship maturity and the emotional maturity that you need.
But that's at 22. We met him when he was 18.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I feel like you're putting a lot of pressure on somebody that mentally and emotionally can't even do what you're asking them to do.
Because he doesn't have the life experience yet. And so you're asking him to do something that he can't.
So you got to recognize that.
And I did. Yes, I did. I received. I took it in, and I had to say one thing, unfortunately, that I did for him to also keep this relationship going. I opened up the door into the three-way because he was so young and I was the first guy that
No. We're not. That's how you gonna take this down to a whole other path we ain't got time for.
See, let me say this, because I know certain people watching.
Well, we understand,
and that's what I'm saying. So for the people that are listening, you may have missed it. He said he opened up the door to threesomes. He said three-way, but he opened up the door to threesomes. And so again, you're on a slippery slope moving fast. That's the doorway to the end. You know, and like people do these things to try to save or salvage the relationship. And the reality is the universe is telling you that that relationship has run its course. And the longer you hold on to it, the more painful it's going to be for you.
Well, it's over now.
Well, unless he comes up with another strategy to try to reel him back
right
in.
now.
See, you still counting on it working. You still trying to pull it back.
No, what I was going to say was, no, that's not what unfortunately, I'm not counting on it to work. What I'm saying is long-term rate, like a couple of years from now. We can talk. We haven't had a conversation with each other on the phone. All it has
Stormy, we're gonna drop you. Stormy, we're gonna drop you down, Stormy. We're gonna drop you down, Stormy, and we're gonna bring you back up in the end, okay? Because see, we got another show for you. We're gonna email you and let you know about that, because this ain't that and that ain't this. So we're gonna drop you down, Stormy. We're gonna bring you back, okay? Jesus be a fence. 2 weeks in a row. We love you, Stormy, but baby, now you going somewhere else we wasn't ready for today. Great. What the hell wrong with you? Thank you.
Oh my God.
Stay there. Give me some water while you're in there, child.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Oh
And so we hear you, Stormy. And it's not we're not downplaying your situation at all. But you was giving it to us. You was giving us a lot of information at one time, and it was going and going. But so we got a show for you that we can get on that can talk about that. Thank you.
Listen. This is why the people say you them nasty even.
What did I do?
We're gonna go ahead and drop you down.
Well, because it was getting ready to go. It was getting ready to go to somewhere else. It's getting ready to go somewhere else. We acknowledge that y'all, and even in the story, hell, we don't know who was abused. Hell, y'all both was abusing each other, and it was a lot.
And you know what I'm gonna say? See, this is why Phoenix doesn't think his situation is toxic, because it doesn't look like
exactly. Yeah.
See, but there are degrees of
toxicity.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But, Stormy, listen, my best advice to you, and I know you're just not in a place where you're ready to receive it and to hear it, and I know what that's like. I've never been in a situation like that where it's been abusive and, and toxic like that. Mm-hmm. But I know what it's like to be in a situation that you're not ready to let it go. Everybody that's been in a relationship, you can relate to that, where you're just not ready for it to be over. And no, I don't care what kind of advice a person gives you. You're just not ready to receive it. Yeah. Because he's talking about, well, maybe 2 years from now, we can get back together. And no, you just have to trust that, the relationship has run its course. You got everything from it that you were supposed to get from it. He's gotten what he's supposed to get from it. And maybe you can just take those lessons and just move to the next relationship when you've healed. Mm-hmm. And apply the lessons to that new relationship. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, you're better in that relationship. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you just have to let it go.
So we're going to start bringing people back up for our roundabout. So yes. I'm glad we brought Ian up first. So Ian can bring Ian back up.
Okay.
Hey, Ian.
Hey.
So you got to listen to everyone's conversations, to everyone's experiences. And I think out of the 4 on the panel, you have done the most work to bring yourself to the space that you're at now. If you can give any of them advice, or anybody that was watching, anybody in the comments, what advice would you give them for being in this type of situation?
I think we just have to recognize when things are not working out, and be honest with the fact that there are a lot of things that we seek in partners that we don't because we don't want to do the work ourselves, right? So I'm definitely not here to judge. I've definitely been in the same predicament as most of the people on the live, but the difference is like there's a lot of work and internal work and questions you have to ask yourself, and places you have to go back, even like your childhood, around like body positivity, around your self-esteem and self-confidence. And it's a lot of work and it's not fun. And it's a lot of, especially coming from people, because a lot of this is about control. A lot of this is about the devaluing of yourself. And so when you go into a space where you already are feeling like you're not good enough, or you're feeling like there's some kind of like insecurity with yourself, and you go into therapy and then they tell you, well, you're right. There's some fucked up shit about you. And this is how we need to work through it. And these are your triggers. And this is what doesn't work with you. It does not feel good. But it really makes you a better person. And it really sets you on the right path. So I'm really, really hopeful. My heart goes out to Stormy, because Stormy is a lot like I was. And the unfortunate part is holding on to the relationship can validate us and say like, it's okay because they love me and I love them and I present this for them and I'm doing this for them. But the reality is, it's just about control. It's just about keeping control. And so I hope that he loses control so he can find himself.
And that inner work that you were just talking about, that's what I was trying to say to Travis. A lot of times people think that they're doing the work just because you take yourself on a shopping spree or you get your nails done and pedicures. No, I'm talking about that inner work where you really self-reflect, you really look at your life, you really look back on your childhood, because your childhood is always going to show up in your relationship every single time, because you've taken cues from whoever modeled their relationships for you, whether it was your mom and dad, whether it was your sister and her relationships, whoever it is that you watched, that is going to show up in your relationships. It really is, like your insecurities, your fears about relationship, whatever. It always comes up. So Ian, I know you said you relate to Stormy, but was there anything that someone down there said that made you think of something or triggered you?
Yeah. I also want to add this lens, as I was sitting here thinking, I've also been opposite the perpetrator in a following relationship. And I was thinking about like how that worked. Like, how did I end up? Now, it wasn't definitely as bad as when I was the perpetrator, but the person did grab me by my neck and we had a little tussle. And I was thinking about, so what happened? And really what happened is because I didn't do my work, because that was my very next relationship. Because I had not done my work, what I thought to myself is that I understand my triggers, and I'll never let myself get back to that negative place, and I'll never do this to something that I love. And so then I open myself up to have that done to me, because I also wasn't working on understanding people's triggers and understand what love meant for me and how love looked for me. And so I think it's also important when we talk about therapy and going to talk to somebody, it's bigger than let me just understand how I deal with myself, but it's also how do I see a relationship? How do I interact in relationship? And so I think that's an important part.
Right.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ian, and thank you for your honesty and your transparency. We appreciate you being part of the show tonight.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Ian.
Okay, we go over to Phoenix. Hey, Phoenix.
Hey, my loves.
So you got to listen to everyone talk. You got to listen to you got to listen to everyone in their stories and their space. What advice would you give to anybody that's in this situation? What advice would you give, or what have you learned from it?
Well, while everyone was speaking, I was listening, but then I was also conversing with a friend of mine who knows me very, very well. And, they really gave me some positive reinforcement, because I was also reading the comments, and it's like, people are so quick to judge other people's relationships when they really don't know the full story, because there are pieces there are pieces I did not tell only because out of respect for my boyfriend and our relationship. So it's like I didn't give the full backstory, but
Right.
the one good thing that I saw that stuck out to me from what my friend was telling me and what one person said in the comments, you can grow and learn from your past, experiences or mistakes, if you want to call it. You can learn and grow from them because not every relationship is going to end in sort of like a dark negative way. There is like a light at the end of the tunnel where you can overcome it. And that's why I say now, me and my boyfriend, we have learned, we're still learning, we're still growing, because at the end of the day, we're human, we're not perfect. And he and I, like I said, we still have our discussions sometimes when we feel like it's going that way. We talk about it. We may not talk about our two past experiences, but we know that it's there, but we choose not to get to that point, which is why we talk. So it's best to just talk it out. It like we've all heard many, many times from our teachers and parents, use your words because words are powerful. As much as we like to use them in a negative sense, we need to use them in a positive sense. You know what I mean? But I thank y'all for letting me come on here.
Well, no, we appreciate you too. Thank you so much, Phoenix, for sharing your experience with us. And like you said, unfortunately, we can't spend the whole time you telling us your whole life story. But we get to say flack too. Even without with an opinion or anything else. The comments are what they are. That's what it is. But we appreciate you being here and share your story with us. Thank you.
Thank you, babies.
Who you want to go to? Stormy?
Listen, y'all cutting up tonight.
Travis.
Y'all cutting up tonight. Hey, y'all.
Travis, any final words or anything that you want?
All I'm going to say is love yourself first. And if you feel like you're in a situation to where you feel violated or you feel like that, it could become something detrimental to your freedom, get away. And that's all I can say.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Travis. Thank you for being here with us, and we appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Definitely. Y'all have a good night.
You too.
You too. Thank you, Travis.
And now, okay, here we go. Now we're going to Stormy. Hey, Stormy.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear. Can you? Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Okay, great. So, once again, did you get to hear what Ian said to you?
Yes, and I want to take the time to apologize because it's so fresh. Unfortunately,
No, we
we
understand.
Able to articulate and what I was going to say was I didn't want nobody to paint it out as he was that I was this abusive person and he was this abusive person. I was going to explain everything how it got to that point to where it got to now. But unfortunately, I'm still trying to heal my own self. So I'm like, I took what Ian said and I said, I understand what y'all was trying to tell me. I understand that. But one thing I wanted to get across was anytime it got physical is because it started from him. Unfortunately, every time I brought up and said, "Oh, are you out there doing something? Are you out there?" Now I'm gonna tell you now, I was a nagger. I've always been a nagger. What I found out in my therapy session was, instead of me being a partner to him, I became a mother to him. So that's why I said I didn't get a chance to tell you guys because I'm like, dog, Craig a Taurus, I'm a Taurus. I'm like, one of us got to be in somewhere. And I'm trying to say, dude, it's so much more. And that's why I said we take the time apart from each other. You do you, sweetie. Because guess what? I met you when you was 18. I took away your youthhood, unfortunately. That was the point of me saying I should have called it quits a year into the relationship. Because we didn't get a chance to heal from the first incident that took place. I wanted to call it a break. Unfortunately, he took the break as he can go talk to other guys. I'm saying take a break so you can work on you, I work on me. You got stuff you need to work on, I got stuff I need to work on. We can revisit this situation years from now. He got stuff about him that I love and adore. I got stuff about me that I love and adore. We got careers.
But can you
we invested so much.
Can you accept that the possibility that can you accept the possibility that perhaps the relationship is just over?
I'm gonna say after what I saw, and y'all gonna be like, well, y'all really went far. After he sent me a text in March, beginning of March 5th, he was caught in the hotel the next day. So yeah, I can accept it.
Okay. So like I said, we have
get a chance to.
Oh no. So like I was saying you earlier, your situation is very layered. You have a lot of layers of this situation, and on top of that, it's a very new thing for you. And I think that we appreciate you coming on here.
Too.
That's why it's so hard for you to let go. That's why it's so hard for you to let go. All I can tell you, Stormy, is this is not healthy, right? And I understand that this is your first relationship. I don't know how long it's been that you was single prior to that. And I understand the fear that you may have letting it go and wondering how long it's going to be before you meet somebody else that you're excited about. But you have to trust, believe, and know that better is possible. Like you can't punish yourself by subjecting you to a relationship that is so very toxic.
So that's what we're gonna do, Stormy. We have your email. We're gonna check back in with you because I think that right now, this was a little too new. It was too new to have this type of conversation. So what we'll do is we'll check back in with you because we do have this other show that I think you'll feel really good for that will tackle a lot of this stuff. Okay. But I want to say thank you for coming on and having a conversation with us. Okay. Thank you, Stormy.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
All righty. Before we close out, some of the people were asking Ian if he had a podcast. I know Ian has a podcast. So Ian, tell them what your podcast is so that they can follow your podcast because they were saying they really would like to hear more of his story.
I have not been doing anything.
You haven't?
I've been taking a break. It'll be back up soon. I haven't been doing anything because I just started a LGBT center here in Houston.
I did know that.
That centers domestic violence. So I am doing the work. I'm over here doing the work, but my podcast will be up soon. You can follow me on all social media at Ian L. Haddock, and I post all my stuff when I get it. So thank you all. I also saw real quick, somebody was saying, how did I find a therapist? melaninandmentalhealth.com. They have Black therapists, sex therapists. I actually started with sex therapy and then moved through with a therapist that I've been seeing for the last 3 or 4 years.
And actually, are you on your computer, Ian?
Yes.
Can you type it in the comments for them?
Okay.
So type your handle, your @ handle, and then type that
mental and melanin
in the comments for us.
Okay.
Now, your podcast didn't it archive though, like the old shows? Can't they still go on this?
Yeah, I did, but I trying to get away from Ian told you
what he's doing.
I know
Stop pushing him.
I know he's not doing it anymore, but I just thought they could have gone.
I used to go off. So if y'all can go, if y'all search me and Craig, I was on his show drunk, going off about some foolishness. I was very much Stormy circa 4 years ago. So I've definitely done the work, which is why y'all just follow me, Ian L. Haddock. I'm putting it in.
And tell them the name of your organization in Houston.
So it's called The Normal Anomaly. We're more alike than different, and eliminating barriers to create new norms.
Okay. Yeah, just type it down, put it all in the comments so they can see and they can follow it.
Thank you, Ian.
All right,
Thank
Ian.
Whew.
What?
Craig, you normally start, you go to the closeout. Like you start doing the stuff.
Well, I needed a moment after that. Listen, thank you guys for joining this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you tremendously. If you'd like to support this channel, please use this Cash App down here. It's GLM Convo at gmail. GLM Convo. I'm sorry.
GLM Convo is the Cash App.
Yes. And if you'd like to participate in our next conversation, it's scrolling at the bottom.
Yes. And what is our next conversation, Craig?
It is LGBTQ couples over 50. So we want to talk to couples that are over 50.
So we do want couples that's over 50. We also want to deal with some dating over 50 too.
Yes. Yes.
So couples and dating over. I will say that one of the most powerful shows we did first season was the older LGBTQ conversation. Like I gained a lot from that conversation. Like that was really, really good conversation. So I'm excited about talking about having this conversation with couples, just dating, being out in that space over 50.
Yeah.
So I really, really want to talk. I'm excited about this conversation. So we would love to talk to you guys. Email us at glmconvo@gmail.com if you would like to be a part of that conversation. Thank you guys for rocking out with us today. Thank you for our guest. Excuse me. Thank you for our guest that came on tonight. And
don't forget to like the video.
Yes, like, share.
And share it and subscribe. If you're not already subscribed to the channel.
And tell your friends about it. Tell everybody. Like let's push this out, you guys. Our channel is growing, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
We have some more big things coming. We normally have our lineup lined up, but we've been having such good response. We've been switching things. We're excited.
Yes. And so please tune in 2 weeks from today for that next conversation. Again, couples over 50 or dating over 50, LGBTQ.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks, guys.
Bye.